Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs. また猫と犬なんでどうしたの I don't know. Cats and dogs and everything and everyone else. My name is Sham. Sham猫のシャム. I'm not a cat. I told you before. I'm not a cat. I am a human being, and I am the owner of Green Square Cafe here in Komae, Tokyo. A cafe where you can sit back, relax, and get better at English by a lot of different means. Please stop by and say hello. So, this is the next podcast called Sham Talk. Yep, it's me, Sham, and I'm talking. So, today's topic, before we get on to today's topic, it's a very nice day here in Komae, very quiet because of the old coronavirus news. COVID-19. Yeah, COVID-19 is scaring everyone. Especially if you are in Hokkaido, I wish you all the best. I hope you and your family, well, all of you and your families are safe in Hokkaido and everywhere, no matter where you are. Yeah, it's a very dark situation, but we can all get through it together. Protect yourself, wash your hands, wear a face mask. Do not go and bulk buy masks and toilet paper. I heard on the news that toilet paper is not in short supply. I don't know why people are rushing off to the supermarket to buy a truckload of toilet paper. They're buying a lot of toilet paper. I saw outside Well Park near Komae, there was a line, a really long, massive line, a massive queue of people, a massive, dekai, massive, gigantic, enormous, huge line of people who I imagine are trying to buy toilet paper, nappies, masks, alcohol. Not drinking alcohol, the alcohol to rub on your hands to disinfect them. Yeah. Just be safe, don't bulk buy, and don't panic too much, and let's work together. That's my message for today. So, this podcast, you can get a full script of the lesson online, on the website www.greensquare.jp/podcasts. What's that website again? www.greensquare.jp/podcasts. Yeah. I apologize again for my singing. So yes, today it's a very sunny day. It's very nice. It's going to reach 18 degrees, I've heard, today. And it is winter. Well, it's the 1st of March today. I don't know when this is going to go online, but it's the 1st of March today. So it's a pretty good day. It's a nice day outside. And so, what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to talk about one of the reasons I came to Japan. And that is anime. Anime, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of foreigners come to Japan for anime. I came here because of the anime and the manga, and I stayed for the people. And the electronics and the nostalgia. The nostalgia of basically the electronics. The nostalgia, the image of Japan. Nostalgia. 懐かしさ. Yeah, 懐かしさ。懐かしい of Japan and the electronics that they had in the 1990s. I mean, a lot of brands were big in those days. Panasonic, Toshiba, Mitsubishi, Hitachi, JVC, Pioneer. There were a lot of brands to choose from, and probably the most popular was Sony. So even now, I love Sony. I'm not being paid by them. I wish I was. If Sony want to give me some money, I don't mind receiving money for free. I'm only too happy to receive money. Please give me money. Yes, but that's one of the reasons I came to Japan, was this nostalgia with the idea of Japanese electronics and the idea that Japan is such a futuristic, modern, ahead of its time country. But the other reason is manga and anime, and in English we do use those terms. We do say manga, we do say anime. Manga just means Japanese comics, and anime just means Japanese cartoons, and I like them both. Yeah, I like y'all both. So that's why I came to Japan, and we're talking in particular about some of my favorite mangas, my favorite animes. I mean, I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. I think a lot of international people like Dragon Ball Z. I used to 昔ね、好きだったドラゴンボールは I used to like Dragon Ball Z. I used to like the anime, and I think the manga, it probably is better than the anime, because the anime, it had a lot of shouting. I think a lot of people know what I'm talking about. Basically, there'll be a big fight, there'll be Goku charging his Kamehameha, and it's basically next time on Dragon Ball Z. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Ah! 外れた。もう一杯。もう一回。Yeah, and it would do that for like 6 episodes. And it's like, もういいよ。もうやめて。Oh God, it was just like shouting for 3 episodes. Kind of like what you just listen to me shout or pretend to shout for a good part of 2 minutes. And that was what Dragon Ball was for me. And as Jump Comics progressed, I think they kind of learnt from these mistakes. And then you have animations and mangas like, well, I think it affected animations more. You have anime like Naruto. I don't know what accent you're gonna say it with, but Naruto improved the elements that you have in anime and in manga. Naruto took them to a next place. They didn't have such long, drawn-out fight sequences or long, really, really long fights that involved a lot of shouting and a lot of anticipation. Naruto just had these fights, and they were quite intelligent in matching people up and their special abilities. Not everyone had the same abilities. They had different techniques and different abilities, and they had to use these different techniques to their own strengths. They had to use the environment, and they had to use intelligence and strategy and tactics more than in Dragon Ball Z. Well, that's my take. And I don't think Dragon Ball Z is better than Naruto. I don't think Naruto is better than Dragon Ball Z. This is just my opinion. In my opinion, Naruto is easier to watch than Dragon Ball. That's just my opinion. There were just a lot of exciting moments, like Gaara helping the good guys for the first time, or when Naruto first appears to fight pain. They were very, very interesting and exciting moments in the anime, in my opinion. But for me, one of the best animes, in my opinion, for me, personally, for me, one of the best animes has to be Psycho Pass. I mean, you have Psycho Pass, Hagane no Renkinzutsushi, Psycho Pass, and Hagane Renkinzutsushi, Full Metal Alchemist, Death Note, and Code Geass, and Monster. I think those are some of my favorite animations. I think let's start with Code Geass. Code Geass, I think, has an amazing story. It's about persecution, it's about discrimination, so it's about sabetsu, discrimination. And it's interesting in a society like Japan. 95 or 90%, it's in the 90s, 90% or so of people in Japan are Japanese. It's a very homogeneous society. Homogeneous means there is one type of person, the same type of person, Japanese. There's one type of person, it's the Japanese person, it's Japanese people. Homo means the same, and genus means, well, gene or race, kind. Comes from Greek. So there isn't so much discrimination in Japan. I don't feel. I don't feel there is any discrimination against myself. But I know that every person's experience is different. And I know that maybe some people have experienced discrimination in Japan. For a lot of different people living in Japan, it will be a different story. I am just saying, for me, most of the Japanese people I have met, most of the police, all of the police I have met, have been very, very nice and have been very friendly. And so I've had no problems. And it's very interesting. Code Geass is basically a commentary on discrimination against other people. And it puts Japanese people in the position where they are being discriminated against. And so you can kind of see what it would be like for people in other countries where they are discriminated against. I don't want to name any countries because it would be a little bit too political, and yeah, let's just keep it light. But the thing that I'm not the biggest fan of, the thing that I don't like so much about Code Geass is the animation style. I think the style is not for me. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my favorite type of animation. I think that it's a very hyper anime style, otaku style, Japanese style of animation, and the character design reflects that. But the story and the storytelling and the friendships involved, they have a lot of interesting elements which are drawn right from the Japanese animation story textbook, and they use those elements very well. The next animation I want to talk about is maybe Hagane no Renkinzutsushi, Full Metal Alchemist. I like the animation style a little bit more. It's a very dark story. excuse me, it looks like it's for kids, and it seems like it's for kids, and it has a lot of comical elements which appeal to kids, but it is very, very dark. It's a very dark story, yes. And the music, the soundtrack, the score is beautiful. The story is beautiful. The characters are likable. They are all easy to relate to. You can really connect with these characters very, very easily. I like that. I like these characters. Alphonse and what's his name? Edward. Edward and Alphonse. It's a tale of their brotherhood, of them being brothers, fraternal love, and it's a story about loss as well. I mean, death, and trying to bring back things which are lost. It also teaches people the cost of every action that we do. There are a lot of deep elements to this story. I mean, it is a lot about death, and it is very dark, but I recommend it for everyone. It's just an amazing anime. The animation style, characters, score, and story. And I think that is the same for Death Note as well. Death Note is a very interesting story, and you have the protagonist and you have an antagonist, and those roles in the animation are very difficult to understand. You have the protagonist, Kira, Light Yagami, but he is also the antagonist. You have L, who is another protagonist, but he is Light's antagonist. For me, the real hero is L, trying to stop murder and the death of people. It is a very interesting look at ethics and morality and different principles. It asks some very interesting questions, like, how do you deal with criminals? Should they be killed? Should they be locked up? Then it asks a lot of questions of the current systems in place. Are the systems we have for dealing with criminals effective? Are they enough? Is it okay to do bad things for good reasons? Ultimately, this animation says, nah, no, nah mate, it isn't. You can see what happens to Light Yagami. He goes down a dark path. He doesn't always kill for the greater good. He kills because he wants to escape justice. He doesn't want to get caught, which is wrong. There are laws in the world, and he doesn't follow them. He eventually believes he is like a god. He thinks he is a god. He isn't. He is just a naive young man. His view on justice is very immature, and eventually his violence gets worse and worse. The animation teaches you that if you condone, allow the killing of people, eventually your actions will get worse and worse. There is escalation. If you haven't seen it or read it, Death Note, another very good manga and anime. The next anime I want to talk about is Psycho Pass. I haven't seen Psycho Pass 3 yet, but I have seen Psycho Pass 1 and 2 and the movie. I like both series. I like both. I like both series. They are both very intelligent and they ask very deep questions. Again, a lot of these animations have multiple layers or levels. They have a lot of different levels for you to enjoy. And I think Psycho Pass again asks questions of morality. What should we do with criminals? It goes further than Death Note. It asks, if we should stop criminals, people, individuals, before they commit crimes, before the crimes have even been committed, done. It very much appears to be influenced by Philip K. Dick. It is kind of a twist, a take on Minority Report, I think. And the anime does mention Philip K. Dick. If you don't know who Philip K. Dick is, I thoroughly recommend you research his work. He has had a big influence on the science fiction genre. He wrote some very good books. A lot of films you might have seen are based on the books he has written. For example, Minority Report, Total Recall, A Scanner Darkly, Blade Runner. Philip K. Dick, Isaac Asimov, and Frank Herbert. I really recommend these science fiction writers. They have had a massive influence on the science fiction genre. So check them out. Take a look. Yeah, so Psycho Pass borrows a lot from Philip K. Dick's work, and they ask questions of the government and of the human race, like what should we do with criminals? Should we try to medicate or treat people before they do something bad? And it is interesting because that is kind of what we do with therapy. But therapy is largely voluntary. It isn't mandatory, compulsory, obligatory. You don't have to go to therapy. You don't have to usually. So this is what Psycho Pass does, and the animation is some of the most beautiful animation I have seen. The music is amazing. It really suits the anime. Like Full Metal Alchemist, the music fits very well. Death Note, the music goes very well with the anime. The characters are also very interesting. I think a fan favorite is Kogami Shinya, who is absent from season 2, but the story is so good. It doesn't really rely on one person. The one thing I didn't like about Psycho Pass was the movie. I liked the movie, but what I didn't like about the movie was the English in the movie. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Holy moly. Sometimes a Japanese movie or animation uses English, and the English is terrible. The English in Psycho Pass isn't so bad, but the pronunciation and intonation, the way they speak English, is absolutely terrible. If a character in an anime is not a native English speaker, then yes, the English should be a little bit strange. It's like Mr. Hayao Miyazaki's last movie, The Wind Rises. There is a German character who speaks Japanese, but his Japanese is very strange. His pronunciation and intonation is strange, and I think that is fine, because it is difficult to sound native when you have learnt the language, when you are not a native speaker of the language. In Psycho Pass, there are some Japanese characters who speak strange English, which is fine. It's fine. I don't mind. But there are some characters who are native English speaking characters, but the way the lines are read in the animation, it sounds very unnatural. It sounds wooden. And when it is so bad, it distracts from the animation. I am watching it thinking, this English is awful, horrible. terrible. Very, very bad. Why didn't they just come to Green Square Cafe? I could have helped them deliver their lines. It's the same with Shin Godzilla. There was a character who was born in America, but their English was absolutely awful. And some of the English-speaking characters in Shin Godzilla, the words they use and the way that they spoke was not very natural. Shin Godzilla is an amazing movie, but the English let it down. The final manga I want to just very quickly mention is Monster. It is an absolutely amazing animation and manga. The characters are all very interesting. They all have very interesting stories. It is very exciting, and honestly, it is one of the best stories I have ever read. The antagonist is very mysterious and incredibly interesting. The protagonist is also very likable, and the way the characters develop and change is very interesting to watch. I really recommend having a look. So yeah, at Green Square Cafe we have Naruto, Psycho Pass, Full Metal Alchemist, Death Note, and Monster, and more. We have a lot of English books, so yeah, drop on by Green Square Cafe in Komae. I would love to see you. I would love to speak to you. You can get the script for this podcast at www.greensquare.jp/podcasts. Yeah, yo, www.greensquare.jp/podcasts. Big thing, bad man. Yeah, a little bit of a rap there for you. I hope you were entertained, and I hope to see you on the next one. This one went on a little bit longer than I had hoped, but the next one will be shorter, I promise. Anyway, have a good day and be safe. Be blessed. How do you turn this thing off? Is it this?